To go to makeshift homeschool,
go to weekwell.com and scroll down to makeshift homeschool. From there, you will see that there are many different lessons on many different topics that we are passionate about.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Rethinking Education. Here, we discuss ways we can improve our education while using technology. So, today we're going to discuss some things that we have learned in the past 2 weeks. We have created multiple blog posts on various things such as 3D printing, positive psychology, dealing with negative emotions, and not knowing. So Isla, could you talk a little more about your post on not knowing?
Not knowing is a post that basically says, not knowing is not what gets you in trouble. It's that you think you know something, but it actually isn't true. Yeah.
So how do you think knowing that we don't know things, it will help us in the future? Because I know sometimes I think I know things, but I don't actually know them. And that sometimes gets me in embarrassing situations. How can we use this knowledge to try and benefit us?
Well, if you don't know something, but you think you know something, you just learn from the experience.
Oh, wow. I think that's very true. So if I know that I don't know some things, how can that enhance my creativity and curiosity?
Well, first of all, not knowing that you don't know something is basically means that you know a question, but you don't know the answer to it. Like maybe 500 plus 250. I know the answer to that, but I mean, what if you didn't know? You know the question, but you know that you don't know the answer.
Do you think that maybe we can use this to try to enhance curiosity? Because we know the question. Well, sometimes you don't even know the question. Like, what is the question? What do we want to figure out? What is the answer? Is it correct? Do we even need to know an answer, right? And I think that definitely does enhance curiosity, because a lot of people, they think that they know all the things. Like like in kindergarten, the jobs were police officer, firefighter,
and grocery bagger.
Grocery bagger, but they are blind to all the other amazing careers that they could pick up when they are older, like entrepreneur, and all these other things. And I think that this definitely enhances curiosity, because we think, oh, what am I missing out on? What do I not know that I don't know about, right?
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things that we like to do in makeshift homeschool is just to research on new emerging technologies such as 3D printing, and to try to learn about them, because we don't know that we don't know things sometimes. So Isla, can you also talk to us a little bit about your positive psychology post? So, Positive Psychology 101.
Yeah.
So could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I think that the Positive Psychology 101, it's a little bit about, it's about to prevent stress, how to find happiness, stuff like that, but it's also about the regrets of the dying. And that means that there is a link to the regrets that has 5 main regrets of the dying, the top 5 regrets. And also what they say is so you have to be grateful. And when they're like about to die, when they're like dying, they say, I feel like this is the first time I'm alive. I feel like I'm finally living my life. And that's because people never really accept it until like they're about to die. When you're about to die, you're grateful for every second of your life.
Yeah, because it might be your last. And I think what's so powerful about that is that you kind of realize everything that you've taken for granted, like every second, really, because we kind of just pass through life thinking, okay, I'm now going to eat this, but not really cherishing that you have the opportunity to do all these things. You have this span of time where you can do anything you want. You can either experience things or just let them slip by. Because then you look around you and you say, oh, that tree is beautiful, instead of passing by the tree and just ignoring, right? And I think that's really important. And could you talk to us a little bit about some of you had some key takeaways from this video by Tal Ben Shahar, and the first one is permission to be human. What does that mean?
That means you let yourself have negative emotions. That means if you don't have negative emotions, that either means you're dead or that either means
you're not really human, really.
Yeah.
Because we all have negative emotions, right? And there's no way to really escape that. And if this is also related to my post on dealing with negative emotions, because we know they're bound to come, so how can we make sure that they don't take over and make us do things we really regret? So the next one is dealing with stress.
Well, dealing with stress, you have to have time to do the things you want to do. You have to have time to spend time with the people you care about and spend time with the people you love. And no matter who you are, you have to have that ability to do things that you want to do and to feel freely.
No, definitely. And also you had a lot of suggestions, like take a walk, meditate, have a sleep, exercise, right? Because also to just enjoy the simple things in life, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I can breathe. This is great.
Yeah, you gotta be grateful. Like, what if you became sick and it was really hard for you to breathe?
Yeah.
Like, that also goes into the category of being grateful.
Yeah, you should just be grateful for the air you breathe, grateful for the bed you sleep in, right? Grateful that you have actually a light, grateful for that piece of paper, right? Because, life's so much greater with that piece of paper, right? Because just to take a look around you and just say your thanks to all the things that you have in your life, because, why not, right? It just makes you happy, makes you more grateful.
In the video, they did one example, like, what if gravity didn't exist? Would it be so nice other than walking down the stairs and walking over to your workplace? What if you could just float? But that also, imagine a basketball game without gravity? Like imagine like it would also be pretty hard to breathe.
Yeah, also pretty hard to lose weight as well, right? You
Yeah.
just food everywhere. Eat all circles. So, and also this feeds off really good into my post of dealing with negative emotions. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. I will feel free to provide your thoughts as well.
Okay.
And, so it's just since Isla was mentioning, we're gonna have negative emotions. It's not something we can escape. So we must so the first thing to do is to accept that we have negative emotions. It's part of being human. And even though they might not be that great, they're gonna come. They're gonna come and they're gonna go. And they're gonna come again, right? And just don't try to squash it down. Don't try to oh, I'm fine, because you're sooner or later you're probably just everything's gonna come rushing out of you. You're gonna explode because you wouldn't let that out. You wouldn't try to de-escalate things, and that can result in very harmful situations. And you don't really want to be in those, right? You just want to calm yourself down before anything harmful can happen, and that's really important because we're gonna get negative emotions, and if we don't deal with them correctly, then that can happen extremely easily. And one thing is that to keep in mind is that negative emotions aren't based on logic, so you're probably not going to be thinking straight. Like maybe you won't go crazy, well you might, but it's not it's not based on your logic, so you should keep that in mind so that you know that maybe you're not making the best decisions, right? So some questions that you can ask yourself is, what is in my control? What is not in my control? How can I use what I can control to benefit myself and others? Yeah, and I think that's really important because then we can try to use negative emotions to our benefit. So negative emotions can be harmful sometimes, but sometimes it's really helpful to know what you want to do. So let's say you're angry at someone. Maybe you know, okay, I'm going to talk to this person and we're going to take a walk outside. I'm going to do some meditation. You know, if you just kind of have a few steps to try to just let yourself cool down, because those negative emotions, they will come and they will go. And you know, they might, you want to let them go sooner rather than later before they keep building up and escalating. So just kind of thinking through, okay, what do I do next, right? And then when you decide to make a decision, like, okay, I'm going to do this, you should also think through whether it will help or it won't. Maybe it'll make everyone happier, and maybe you might think, oh my god, I'm so mad at this person, why did I do that? They should get what they deserve. But I mean, that's probably just going to end up in a fight, and you'll probably regret it later. And even though this negative emotion is really empowering, we don't want it to take over. You should also be really cautious with your actions, because you're probably not really thinking through things as a whole, right? You're probably thinking through, I'm mad at this person, I'm going to do this to them. But then when you think about the whole picture and how that can end up and what that can start to do in the future, then that's really, it might not be the best idea. Also, just keeping a sense of humor about yourself, just laugh about your mistakes, because it just ends up, you can't keep yourself.
Everyone has mistakes.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't give yourself any excuses, but also just like, we all make mistakes sometimes. Why not laugh about it, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want people to laugh at you, so why don't you just laugh with them?
Yeah.
But some things is to calm them down is just to take a few deep breaths and recognize that all emotions are caused somehow. So just try to get to the bottom of it and make sure it doesn't happen again. Because if it happens again, you don't want the same thing to happen over and over again, because that can be extremely frustrating. And then just try to talk to some person who will not just be like, yeah, you should totally be mad at that person, I never liked them either. Or don't talk to those people, talk to maybe their friend who's also your friend, because you know, they'll give you both sides of the picture. Maybe their friend was talking about it with them, maybe you can kind of see why that person did whatever they did or said whatever they said. Because that can help you see both sides of the pictures. Maybe you get why they did that. Maybe you're not really so angry anymore. And then just try to find a good course of action and make sure that it's not going to do anything bad. Try to make sure that it will help to resolve things, because in the end, that's what we really want to do. And then just take your step forward, but also know that the relationship can be kind of vulnerable. So just try to be careful, because you don't want to mess things up. And also just to make sure that you don't feel so bad, is that you know that everyone makes mistakes, and humans all make mistakes. There's nothing we can do to try to avoid those, and we just try to use those mistakes to guide us in the future, and that those mistakes don't define us, and we're just going to try to move on, because that's, in the end, that's all we can do. So I hope you guys felt that was really helpful. And the last post that we did this week is on 3D printing. I'm not going to go through this in full length, but basically additive manufacturing is just 3D printing. It's where you don't have to use any molds, and it's basically where they take a material, melt it, and then create structures with it without having anything else to guide it. It just makes the structure, and you don't have to have any molds. So as you can see, there's less material used. It can also be very fast. It can be much faster because a lot of steps are eliminated, like shipping the stuff, because you just make it and then it's done. And like packaging it, all the molds, and that's been very helpful for a lot of companies. The different questions that we answer inside this blog post is: what is additive manufacturing? Why is additive manufacturing important? What is traditional manufacturing? And so that's just basically the way that we're used to doing things. And then, why are businesses interested in additive manufacturing? Who are the leaders in additive manufacturing? What is additive manufacturing used for today? So there are some things that really enjoy 3D printing and see all the benefits, and they are like, okay, I feel like 3D printing is going to be better for us. So then they use that. And then, what is additive manufacturing headed? Where is additive manufacturing headed in the future? So what do we think is gonna start popping up? What are the things that are starting to use additive manufacturing because they think it's the better way of doing things? And so this took me kind of a long time, because there's just so many things in 3D printing, and there are just a lot of different aspects. We might get a 3D printer. We're not sure yet, but it's just a really cool way of doing things, and I think it's just really helpful. And Isla, do you have any other things you would like to share? No. So I hope you guys enjoyed our second episode of Makeshift Homeschool, where we shared about the blog post that we created, which was the one on additive manufacturing, positive psychology, dealing with negative emotions, and not knowing. Please come back to the website to see the more blog posts that we will post, and I hope you guys are all safe and healthy. Bye.
Bye.